Hello everyone, this is Direwolf20, and welcome to episode 36 of Direwolf20's Let's Play series. I did a little bit of off-camera work that I want to walk you guys through right now. My tree farm mana generator was annoying me because the problem was I would put saplings in the chest and then they'd run out, and then I would forget to put them back in, and there'd be a long period of time where we weren't generating mana as a result. So I thought to myself, how can I make it so that this tree farm keeps its saplings stocked by itself? And that's what I'm about to show you. So I did this off camera. I probably should have done this on camera, but I was just mostly playing around, and then I got it working, so I was like, okay, let's just keep it. So let's go take a look. So what I built in here is the following. I set up a inventory checker from RF Tools utility that's looking for 32 saplings in the chest behind it. So as long as there's 32 or more saplings in this chest, he will emit a redstone signal, which then turns off this redstone torch. Okay? The redstone torch is hooked up to a sequencer, which is set to loop 4, which is loop the cycle when redstone signal is present. Meaning that if there's a redstone signal coming in here, this will pulse once every few seconds. And what it'll do is it'll cast the touch fell command regularly. So watch what happens when I remove some oak saplings from this chest. I'm going to take like 8 of them out of here. Notice the redstone torch turned on. Okay. And then what's going to happen is every so often this guy is going to cast and it'll drop all the items. Okay. And it'll break the tree with the leaves still intact. And you'll notice now we have 35 oak saplings in there. The way this works is underground here. I set up a advanced item collector for saplings, and it whitelists only saplings get picked up and placed in the chest. And then similarly, I have an advanced item collector over here for the other items that drop from trees, like green tea leaves, apples, and acorns. Okay? And those are going into a trash can. So the gist is, if there are greater than 32 oak saplings, turn the system off, and it works like it always did before. But if there's less than 32 saplings, basically allow the spell turret that already existed from before to break the tree and collect the saplings. Is that cool? And it seems like it's working pretty well. So you'll notice, like, you know, we're now up to 34 saplings. So if I, you know, snag a few saplings again, what'll happen is it'll activate the timer and it'll break the tree with the leaves intact and collect the saplings that drop from the leaves. And obviously that's going to be a net gain on saplings because generally speaking, you get more than one sapling per tree. See that? So now we're at 29 saplings. Pretty cool. Now we're at 30 saplings. And I'm just growing it with the grow spell. Now we're at 31 saplings, right? And now, you know, it grew again. So now we're at 34 saplings. So now the redstone signal turns off here because this guy is saying I've got enough iron. Or I've got enough saplings. And now it's back to the way it worked before, where the turret is no longer breaking the tree until all the leaves are gone. Isn't that cool? And it seems to be working pretty smoothly. See? And now it'll wait for the pulsing over here to finish before it'll decide to break the sapling. Good deal? There you go. And it's just working like it normally does. And then eventually we'll be down to 32 saplings because every time it grows a tree, it uses a sapling. And then once we hit 31, it'll break the next tree, get a few extra saplings, and then the cycle repeats. So that has now fully automated the oak leaves thing, which I think is pretty neat. I think that's pretty cool. Proud of that one. I thought that was fun. So just wanted to show you that before we get into today's episode. I think in today's episode, I finally want to start breaking into a little bit of tech. We'll still do some magical stuff, and kind of like I do with most of my series, where like I've got a foundation in tech, so like that's where I first start with a build, and then, you know, augment whatever I'm working on with the tech that I have. I'll do the same here with the magic. I'll look for ways that I can use some of the magical things that I've done to automate stuff, like the turret, like, Banhania, like, all the other stuff. But obviously, we'll also be doing some tech stuff as well because we have a dozen mods in this pack that I want to go through that we don't, that aren't magic themed. So we want to do the tech stuff. So let me know what you think in the comments. Make sure to tell me, like, yeah, Dyer, definitely get into tech now because you've been doing magic for a while, or, if you have a differing opinion, feel free to tell me. So that looks pretty good. So what I think I should start with is getting applied energistics sorted out, and also cutting down on some of this dire wire that I've got all over the place. So what I thought I would do is kind of clean up this basement, because it's clearly a mess, and see what we can come up with by way of cutting down on dire wire. So there's a couple things we can do to cut down on dire wire. And you can see I've got up on my screen here Flux networks. I want to probably get into having a Flux controller, and some Flux points and plugs, and some Flux blocks, and all that good stuff. So Flux networks is a nice mod that allows you to wirelessly transmit RF power between multiple blocks. So we're going to set up probably some kind of system to manage all our RF power. And this will also have the side effect of charging items in my inventory, which will be very nice for me, because, yeah, that would be cool. That would be super cool. And, now that we've got kind of a stupid amount of resources, which I'm loving how many resources we have. Look how many resources we have. We've got all the resources. Look at all the resources we've got. It's just awesome. Because my minor demon and my, processing demons down here are all doing a good job. This is just running flawlessly, by the way. Like, everything is running great. Like, everything is just carrying on. Isn't that cool? Eventually, this thing will run out of durability and break, I assume, and I'll have to make a new one. Or what I'm trying to do is catch it when it's low enough, and I'd like to set up a automation to repair that. So what I'm thinking is, once it gets to a low enough durability, I'll store it in like a laser IO filter and say, like, hey, extract when this durability hits, matching NBT. Then we can extract out the broken item, repair it, and put it back in. That's the plan, at least. I guess we'll see if that happens. So first things first, let's get into Flux networks so that we can have some wireless power, clean up some of the mess in our basement, start getting wiring and stuff under control. We're also probably going to want to very quickly automate some of the applied energistics stuff. What I'd love to be able to do is automate, and I think it would be a fun automation challenge, this thing. So like the crystal growth accelerator with, all the mechanics therein, I would like to see about automating. So we'll have to figure out how to automate the creation of the buds and all that stuff. We'll get there. But let's start with Flux networks, because I think that's a good start for today. Okay? So looking at Flux networks, one of the main things we're going to need to get is Flux dust, which is obtained by compressing redstone dust with bedrock and obsidian. Alternatively, you can compress it with a flux block. So in order to get a flux block, we need flux dust. So we need to start with obsidian. Then we can move on to flux dust block. Cool? All right, so all I'm going to do to start is grab a few stacks of redstone. 5 ought to do. And what I'm thinking is this. Let's get some obsidian. And I also want to finish up. I need to get tier 3 Rs unlocked. I haven't done that yet, but I should. So I want to clean up a little bit of the basement, but we're not, like, done with magic, by the way. So, I definitely want to get tier 3 Rs book going on. Do we have another totem of undying? I might have to go find one. I'm sure I could get one somewhere. Are they makeable? Not really. But I'll find something. And then we have some stuff to do with ours to get into that. So step 1, head all the way into your basement, smacking your head the whole way, because I never did clear up that space. Not the end of the world. And find bedrock. I'm really curious. We should have like a stupid amount of this stuff, by the way, because I imagine this guy is just chilling down here doing his thing, right? My goodness, look how many amethyst buds we have. Look at these golems. Holy cow. There's just amethyst buds everywhere. Holy cow, look at that. That is cool. That's a lot of amethyst. Yeah, these golems, they don't mess around. I'm just going to avoid this because I don't think I need it. Down, down, down we go. All the way to bedrock. There we are. Bedrock. Works for me. Okay. So to get this to work is really quite simple. You place your obsidian here. You drop your redstone underneath it, and then you left-click your obsidian. And that's it. Mission accomplished. Redstone turned into flux dust. Sweet. Now going forward, all we have to do is either, if we need more flux dust, we can repeat that process, or we can just smash it into a flux block. Either one works. Really doesn't matter. Let's now look at getting ourselves some flux blocks. So to get those, we're going to need Eyes of Ender. So let's just get, a stack of blaze powder, because we have unlimited blaze rods, right? Like, we're good on that. We don't need to focus on making sure we're processing those in the most efficient way possible. And then we need some Eyes of Ender, obviously. And I'll just get, a good number of them. Boom, 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 boom. That works for me. Flux cores, easy enough. So we'll start with a few flux blocks. Okay, that'll get me a flux controller. That's going to be nice to have. Do I want the flux storage, guys? I never liked these because I always felt like their crafting was very complex. They're very expensive for what they store, right? Like, we need 6 flux blocks in order to get 2 million RF storage. Like, that's not a lot, right? How much is this storing again? This guy is storing 6 million. I mean, he's not amazing, I guess. But he's only, the second tier. But he's a lot cheaper than 6. I mean, But if you want to get to the 16 million storage, you need 6 sets of basic flux storage. So you need 36. I mean, I guess it makes sense. But still, I always felt like they were pretty pricey, and I never really needed them to be that good. So what I'll do is say this. Let's start without flux storage for now, and then maybe we'll consider it in the future. But for now, I don't think we need it, right? So flux plugs are going to be important. So let's just get a few things here. So the plug will receive energy, right? So I want at least 2 of those. And then flux points are going to be the ones that we want a healthy-ish amount of. So let's get like 8-ish. Does that sound cool? Well, or 5. That's also a number that works. Let's get another stack of these. And there's some kind of weirdness with there we go. That works. With the item texture. I don't know what that's all about. But look, it's like you can see it's there's something weird with the model for the item. It's supposed to be just that bit, like this bit right here, right? But yeah, there's definitely something weird with the model. Oh well. All right, now let's, do I want to move this energy cube or do I want to leave it here? That's question numero uno. I think I'm going to leave it here. But we're going to rewire some of the wiring that we've got in our base. So first things first, let's take the energy pipes and remove them. Okay, so the left side of this guy is your input. So first things first, I want my controller to be, I'm going to have 2 networks that I'm going to create here. And this is pretty standard Dire setup. So first we're going to have a network called the generators network. And I usually make that red so that we can see, that it's the generators network. And what this plug is going to do is it's going to receive energy from the reactor and send it somewhere. Okay? Where it's going to send to is right here. So we're going to have a flux point. We're going to add that to the generators network, and you can see it's transferring power into the energy cube now. So that power is coming out of here. Looks like he has a little bit of a buffer going on, and then he's going to there. Neat. Works for me. Keeping him powered. Beautiful. Then I'm going to have another flux plug, And I'm probably going to put this on the top. So how about output on the top? Okay, and this is going to be a new network. Let's see, where's the... There it is, create new network. Direwolf20's network, and we'll keep it blue, pretty standard. Okay. Sweet. And he'll receive energy from the cube and send it to whatever machines I need it to go to. So for example, if I were to... I'm going to leave these wires here for now, but I will get rid of, for example, this guy. Okay. So this thing should now be offline because he doesn't have any more power. But if we hook this up to the Direwolf20 network, he's going to be online again. Hooray! Device online. So he's getting power, 16 RF a tick, going through here, coming out of here. Nice. And then usually I stick a Flux controller somewhere nearby, and I'll stick it on the Direwolf20 network because that's the main one. So like the generators network I use for getting power out of my generators and putting it into the energy storage device. And then the main network is the one getting out of the energy buffer, right? So like the batteries or whatever they are, and sending them to all the stuff across the base. Cool. So in the controller, we can choose to enable wireless charging, which I'm going to do for everything except the main inventory, which is usually disabled. And now if we... so this guy's at 44, right? Anything else low on power in here? Not really. I think we're cool. This guy is a little bit low, right? So if I enable wireless charging and apply, we should see our stuff filling up. See how everything's nice and full now? And it'll be kept full, and that's pretty awesome, including curios. So if any of your curios require RF, they will also be kept fully charged. And I hear you out there, sir, and I am not a fan of all the noises you make. Questions? I hope not. Thank you. So, crisis averted. So that's basic Flux networks. We've got it up and running now. The other thing that we are going to lose power on now is going to be the charger, which I could connect, and we'll probably rearrange how this thing works anyway, because the charger I'm going to want to connect probably and automate, but we'll take care of that eventually. See, now I don't need all these wires running across my base. I just do that and connect him up to the Direwolf network. Now that thing's going to be kept powered and everybody's happy. And far less of a mess. Cool. You'll get a Direwolf20 network for now. What else do we want to do? Another thing I'll usually do. So at this point, we should be running out of RF power in this dude. So shortly, my AE system will die out and I won't have access to it anymore. Wireless out of range because out of power. Usually what I'll do when I put this on the Direwolf20 network, I'm going to set the priority. I'm going to make this a high priority because I basically want to keep my AE system up and running all the time. So I want to prioritize the power going into the AE system. And that's exactly what I just did. Setting a high priority on this means that if we're running low on power in our battery, it will send power to the AE system first, and that'll be pretty awesome for us. Cool. Okay, now over here, what do we got going on? Are you even a thing anymore? I probably got rid of that block and never removed all the cables. See, what a mess. What a mess Dire is. All right, so you guys have power. You guys all have power coming in. So rather than Flux networking all of this, what I'll do is just do that. Hopefully that'll work. I guess we'll see. Let's find out. Are you going to be cool with power? I guess so. And you should be showing that power is happening. It's not rendering a connection, but I'm thinking it's still working. Maybe not. You know what I probably have to do? I have to do that. And now you should be getting power. See it? Yeah, you can see it up here on the top. Nicely charged. That sounds cool. And I can get some sugar in here. That's good times. Nice. Okay. Works. What was that? What indeed? I have no idea. All right, so now we've got this all powered up. Because we've got so many blocks here, sometimes it makes a lot of sense to do like I just did and just have a flux point connecting to a bunch of pipes. Sweet. All right, so that's step one of cleaning up the basement. I think it looks a lot better, doesn't it? And now we have access to more flux points as needed. All right, so let's remember how this setup works. Because I want to start planning for how I'm going to automate the Certus quartz crystal creation and dust for that matter. What I'd like to do, because let's review this because it's been a while since we looked at it, right? But if we want to in-world transmute this, all I need is a Certus quartz block, right? And if I put one charged Certus in there, they should combine, boom, into a damaged budding. And if we drop another one in there, they should combine into a chipped budding. And then one more goes in, and we get a flawed budding, right? So damaged, chipped, flawed. Now there is flawless, but I'm pretty sure the only way you can get that is you have to find them in the meteorites. Even with Silk Touch, you're not going to have any luck getting it. You have to get them in the meteorite, and you have to use like spatial I/O to move them, I think it said. But I'm sure there's some other mod that will allow me to move them. Probably cardboard boxes from Mechanism. I bet I could do that. We'll see. So if I found flawless, it means we wouldn't have to automate creating flawed, right? Now, the other way to do this, by the way, is you can drop 3 in there at a time, and they'll all combine all at once. Bing, bang, boom. And now we've got another flawed. Cool. Okay. Looking good. I like it. Now, the Crystal Growth Accelerator causes the adjacent flawed budding Certus quartz to do its thing. Now, here's a question. Do you get affected by fortune? It's a super good question. I want to borrow Mr. Fortune Pick for a minute because I'm curious. So this is not fully grown. That's a small bud, right? But I want to break it. So that doesn't seem to have been affected. Now, how about you, Certus Quartz Cluster? Well, we got 6. That's not bad. 2, 3, 4, 5. I think that's enough attempts at the dust to calculate that we're not having bad RNG. Okay. Now that's a large bud. Is that fully grown? I don't think so, right? I don't think large is fully grown. I think I can tick accelerate this. Or is it this one I ticked? I don't know. I wonder if the torch... You know which torch I'm talking about? There we go. So now we're down to damaged, right? Which flawed, damaged. Eventually it'll be chipped. So remember, as it grows, it weakens to the point where it just becomes a normal block. Okay, so Certus Quartz Cluster, I can break you now. I have 6. I now have 10. So I got, you know, some. Let's use this guy. I got 4 from a non-fortuned. I have 10. I have a lot more than 10. I got 11 out of that. I feel like Fortune's doing a thing. I got 13 out of that? Yeah, I feel like Fortune is absolutely doing a thing, and that's pretty cool. All right. So that's good to know, is that Fortune 100% affects these drops, which means if I'm going to automate the collection of the crystal, I should do something that includes fortune picks, if I can. So we're going to have to figure that out. Now, how was it that I made that time doohickey? So that is just a clock with a force torch. So if I were to grab a couple of you, because my question is ding. So you come out, you go in, ding. I imagine they each apply a growth tick effect. So here's my question. If I were to place you here, and this is just a test, right? Do you think that's going to do something? Alternatively, I could place it here to see if this growth... That's a Certus quartz block, so no, it's not going to do nothing. This guy is what I'm talking about. So do you think... I don't think these are tile entities. I might be wrong. If I look at them with... This will tell me if it's a tile entity or not. See, I can mine it. You can't mine tile entities with the laser. So if I were to look at, for example, this block, see how it's not highlighted in green? Because you can't... I have it disabled such that lasers can't mine tile entities. This is mostly to protect you from accidentally breaking blocks that you don't want to break. This is a mining tool, right? But since this is not mineable, that means it's not a tile entity. That means it has to be using random growth ticks in order to grow. Okay? Which means that the time crystals should be affecting it. And remember, it's a 3x3 area that it affects. But on the same y-axis, I believe. So this guy should be affecting this. This guy should be affecting that. And this guy should be affecting this. Okay? Not crazy yet. That's because it already turned into a Certus quartz block. Okay, good to know. I had a little bit of bad luck there. Well, you know. Oh my goodness, look how many crystals we've got down here. And you're at damaged stage. Okay, so let's make sure we've got a healthy amount of these cooking, which should... Yes, everything's working there. It is just in my nature to not want to break all these beautiful crystals without an amazing uber broken pickaxe. So what happens if I put this here? Will that cause these guys to be even faster? It's possible. I'm not 100% sure if this is making a big difference. It might be. But I can't really tell. But now you've broken down into Certus quartz block anyway, so... Yeah, we'll see. It almost... It's not enough of a speed boost. If it is affecting it, it's not affecting it to the point where it's amazing. Does that make sense? I think that makes sense. So give me 2 more of these, and I should be able to do that. And then you should happily turn into the top tiers. I only needed 9, not 3. Not 12. Okay, that's fine. Sweet. Now, in fairness, I could absolutely have crystals like this. And that would be cool. And I could put one on the bottom, but then they would compete with these sides. So it's up to you. I mean, it's not a problem, but just keep in mind how many sides of block you're going to be allowed to have. Yeah, see, that grew pretty quickly. right? That grew really quickly. So I don't know if a time torch is really necessary, especially if we're going to automate this. I think this will be fast enough when automated that we don't need to worry about it. So let's start thinking about, for next episode, because I'm not going to be able to get to it this episode, how I can automate the creation of flawed budding catalysts. Okay? And how I can automate the collection of these blocks. Maybe even ideally with... you know what? I have an idea. I want to try something here. I want to test something too. Do these guys weaken when they're not growing? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to block off all the sides here. Well, yeah. And then I'm going to let you grow, right? So you're at the flawed stage. Okay. What I want to see is if I do that. Okay. Are you not on? I thought I had you on. Oh, right. I turned you off because I was doing that stuff. Okay. I want to see if this flawed gets weakened and turns into a damaged, etc., when he's not actually growing something. So I'm going to let this sit for like 5 or 10 minutes. And if I come back and he's still flawed, then I'm cool, right? This is a Certus quartz block already, so he's dead. Okay. I'm going to put that there, because I don't want him growing anything. I want him literally blocked on all sides except one. Because I'm pretty sure, from what I remember reading, is that every time a crystal grows, it has a chance to knock it down to the next level. If that's the case, then the efficient way to handle this is to have one side where crystals can grow, and we set up something like this on that side. But we're going to want to detect that it's the right kind of crystal before we break it. Because we're not going to want to break dust. We want to make sure it's a fully grown Certus quartz crystal cluster before we let the break happen. So we're going to need some kind of blocks detector here to decide what exactly is in that space. And then let's let you run again. Cool. So I think that's where I'm leaning. That should be fun. Yeah, we'll definitely work on that next episode. So, number 1, collecting the Certus quartz crystal cluster here. Number 2, what I'll probably want to do is, because you get so many more crystal clusters from using the fortune pick, and you don't get a boost from Certus quartz dust using a fortune pick, I can just do something like this to get my crystal cluster dust from the crystals themselves. So I'll only break the fully grown clusters with a fortune pick and then use some kind of machine to turn them into dust. That's the play. That's the way we're going to do this. All right, so let's do this. Let's wrap up the episode here. We've got Flux networks in place, which is good. We started planning for how we're going to do our Certus quartz automation. Let me look into what blocks or things exist in the pack that can detect and filter on what block exists in the world. Because effectively, I need to see what this block is and know exactly what it is and validate that it's a fully grown crystal before we allow the block breaker to trigger. Cool? So for now, Doll20 sign off. Hope you enjoyed the episode. We'll come back next time with a plan. I know for sure there's one mod that can do it. I'm going to see if there's a simpler mod that can do it. But worst case, we'll use a really complex mod to do it, which is cool with me. All right, for now, Doll20 sign off. Hope you enjoyed the episode. We are still at the flawed. Yes, good. All right, take it easy.